What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show. The Blazers today get whacked by the Dallas Mavericks, 132 to 112. The Mavericks lob their way to victory behind Luka Doncic's triple-double. The Blazers headed into this game missing numerous forwards, including Robert Covington, Nasir Little, Larry Nance as well. Greg Brown the third got some playing time. Trent Watford got a lot of minutes. We'll break down everything that happened in this game, and we'll talk a lot of trade stuff on this stream. Eric, what's going on, man?
Oh, not too much. Hopefully we got our spaces, technical difficulties fixed as well. Tori and I both worked on that, so hopefully we have a nice, smooth segment when that happens tonight.
Yeah, fingers crossed for that. We'll take some of your calls as we normally do, and hopefully Eric will be able to actually respond to you this time. So, shout out to you if you watched the video I dropped earlier today. If not, after the stream, go check it out. And with that being said, let's just jump into this game. I think Chris is going to be late on graphics, so we won't have team stats or anything. But, yeah, this was a terrible defensive game, Eric, and maybe I should have expected it given who is out for this team, but the Mavericks just picked apart the Blazers all night long. It wasn't, a Charlotte Hornets situation where they put up 158 points in regulation, which the Hornets did tonight, but 132 the Mavericks put on the board, which is the same amount that they scored about a month ago when they beat Portland in Portland. That final score was 132 to 117. This one's 132 to 112. Yeah, this was a rough defensive game from pretty much every front. You had Luka Doncic throw about at least 5 or 6 lobs to bigs, kind of had his way in the pick and roll. We really struggled to contain anything in regards to him. And then point of attack defense wasn't good in this game. I felt like we were too soft on the ball, weren't getting into the ball enough, and then weren't being competitive enough trying to stop straight line drives to the rim. Jalen Brunson has a good game as well. Pretty much everybody had a good game for Dallas. What do you think about this defensive performance from Portland today?
It reminded me a lot of earlier season defenses, and here's why. When you have as skilled a passers as Luka, and Brunson's very quickly rising into this category as a great passer as well. You can't play a zone if it's not perfect. Mm-hmm. And so the Blazers, they still make mistakes in the zone. It's been a lot, 100 times better, of course, over the last few weeks. But they still have issues where when a primary ball handler brings the ball up, there's some confusion on which of the two top guys needs to go with him. There's confusion when there's a screen on that, who should rotate over. And Luka can pass to basically anyone on the court at any time. He's that good. So if you slip up just one person out of the 5, he's just going to find that guy for either an open corner 3 or, like you mentioned, a lob with the big going down the middle because no one rotated to the middle. So unfortunately, this is just a situation where our defense has looked competent enough against a lot of teams, but against this Dallas team, you're just going to get picked apart by how good a passing guards they have.
Yeah, I mean, Luka numerous times just kind of came off screens without a big man hedging. The guard wasn't getting into the ball and just kind of easily drove his way to around the free throw line, and then would just slowly and casually just flick it over the top to his big man who nobody was recovering to, nobody was helping to, and it was basically it was easy for him tonight. He didn't really score the ball as much as I thought he did, 15 points on 4 for 11 shooting, but he has 15 assists. He orchestrated everything for that team tonight.
I think Brunson had 11.
And Brunson had 11. So their backcourt combines for 26 assists. It's a good game if this Blazers team gets 26 assists. Their backcourt had 26 assists between Brunson and Doncic. Brunson had 20 points on 9 for 15 shooting, so he was able to get it going. Scoring-wise, a little bit more. But yeah, it's just a situation where there was no resistance there was no resistance in the pick and roll. There was no resistance in isolation. And, you can look at the guys we were missing in terms of our forwards, but I was disappointed overall with pretty much every guard defensively that played tonight for the Portland Trailblazers. The only one I wasn't disappointed in defensively was CJ Ellerbee, who had a phenomenal block and had a pretty good game off the bench for the Blazers, just kind of doing it all. 7 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists for Ellerbee. It was a disappointing game like that. And it was the second night of a back-to-back, so, maybe that's to be expected. Granted, Dallas was playing the second night of a back-to-back, but they got blown out by 38 points yesterday by the Golden State Warriors, so they were a little bit more rested.
I mean, we go on a 6-game road trip. We play Sunday night, come home late Monday morning, and then from Toronto, and then have that day off, and then we have a doubleheader at home. That the schedule makers did not give us any kind of break there. To have a back-to-back with 1 day off after a 6-day road trip is kind of BS, and now we have to go back on the road again. So it's a little unfair to criticize. I think some of the tiredness, I guess, it's normal, but some of the guys like CJ Ellerbee had a great game, but he didn't play last night, and Norm is coming off not playing for several weeks, so he should be rested. But the thing that confuses me there is, so he plays last night on a minutes restriction, and then the second night of a back-to-back coming back, you're not on a minutes restriction? Like, what?
Yeah.
That makes no sense. It's like the whole Dame thing all over again.
I wonder if the minutes restriction was to justify bringing him off the bench because they didn't want to start him,
Maybe.
That's kind of the feeling I got yesterday, and then he plays...
so we're back to politics instead of...
He plays 36 minutes tonight and was honestly our worst player tonight, in my opinion. He was, maybe Greg Brown, I guess. But, if in terms of the guys that played heavy minutes, in terms of starters, Norman Powell was brutal tonight. My team worst, minus 25 in his 36 minutes. Not good. 5 for 17 from the field for him, 2 for 9 from 3, 1 assist, 1 turnover. And Ant had been playing well, Nas had been playing well, and then you got CJ. I think it might have been a situation where they didn't really want to start Norman Powell. And let's just open up this can of worms now. Do you think Norman Powell wants to be here? Do you think he looks like he wants to be here? Or do you think he looks like he doesn't want to be here? Because I would lean towards that, and I'm curious what you think.
I wouldn't phrase it that he doesn't want to be here. I think it's more that he saw the writing on the wall, obviously, while he was out, that he wasn't necessarily needed, and that he's pretty confident he's being traded. I think it's more just that. It's like, it's not that he doesn't want to be here or he's not trying when he's out there or anything. I think he just realizes that he's only going to be here for a short while longer.
Yeah, I mean, that could be part of it. I'm just done. And I said that last stream, but I'm just done with the Norman Powell experiment. It's funny because people thought Norman Powell was the solution, was the answer at the 2-guard spot, right? We trade for him as, now we can get rid of CJ. It's still a 6'3" guard, but he has a longer wingspan. You know what I mean? And at the time, I think the trade was fine. It's just his defense, his shot selection, and his decision-making have all fallen off a cliff since we traded for him, right? I still don't think it was a bad trade, and I still think he has just as much trade value as Gary Trent Jr. would have, considering Gary Trent Jr. can walk in 2 years. So, a team has to, a team would want Gary Trent Jr. long-term, but he can walk in 2 years.
Year and a half now.
Yeah, a year and a half now. So, I still don't think it was necessarily a bad trade. It just... in terms of value, I still think we have an equal asset in Norman Powell as we would to Gary Trent Jr. It's just that asset does not make sense for our team right now and would make more sense for other teams. That's where I've landed on Norman Powell. Simons's explosion makes it easier, but the dude he hasn't been what he was defensively like last year. When we traded for him, he was good defensively for the first 10, 15 games. He played hard. He hustled. That's fallen off a cliff. And he has a really rough game today. Forced some shots, had his patented drive into 3 defenders and then try and kick out pass or get a shot up at the last second when it's way too late and he's stuck. I don't know, man. I tried to watch him heavily today. He just didn't seem bought in, and the way you explained it is probably more realistically the case. He knows he's getting traded. It's always tough watching a guy play for your favorite team that is probably going to get traded, and you're literally just sitting there waiting for them to get traded.
Mm-hmm. I do think we need to be a little fair with him. I mean, he missed, 2 weeks? And, he had COVID too, so maybe he's still feeling some effects from that as well. I think a little bit of it, we do need to give him a pass on getting back into game action for missing a few weeks. But
it's just I felt this way like before he ended up missing time, and it's funny because you started off like being a little bit more critical of him initially, and then I kind of took that and ran with it, but he's still somebody that can bring back, because I see a comment.
Once you turn on someone.
What'd you say?
Once you turn on someone, it's over in your mind.
I mean, you can prove me wrong, man.
No, Norm's not getting that back in your mind.
I mean, I don't like guys that he played lazy for such a long stretch of time, in my opinion, that I don't know how you can trust him to fully bring it, at least here in Portland. I think if you get him in another situation, he could be a guy that brings it, which is why I still think he has trade value, because I see a comment that says, "Are you sure we can get a first rounder for Norm at this point?" And then that comment says guards like him are a dime a dozen. Guards like him are not a dime a dozen. I still think he'll be better somewhere else, maybe with better defensive players around him, not a team that's struggled defensively. I feel like he's one of those guys that'll just kind of conform to whatever situation he's in. If it's a team that plays lazy defense, he's going to play some lazy defense. If it's a team that plays hard, if he ended up in Golden State, he would probably be a good defender. That's kind of my opinion on him at this point, but I mean, it's still a guy getting 18 points per game, shooting 45% from the field and 40% from 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And can guard 2, maybe 3 positions. He can guard a lot of small forwards in the league. He can guard some point guards. He can guard shooting guards, So he still has a lot of value. You don't find an 18 point per game scorer with his potential defensive ability, right? Because it hasn't shown itself this year, but he can play good defense. You don't find that easily. So he'll still fetch a good trade return, and I'm just sitting here waiting for that, especially in a trade market where there's not many guys available.
Mm-hmm. And Beerus has mentioned the point I wanted to bring up, and this is my main problem with Norm. So we talked about CJ coming back and how that'll affect Ant, right? Mm-hmm. And CJ, for the most part, fit in, but it was still only 2 of them. But now there's CJ, Ant, and Norm. And we heard Norm's going to try to fit in like CJ, but we see, like, how many shots did Ant get tonight? Like 12?
14.
Something like that? 14?
9 for 14 from the field, leading scorer 23 points.
He was 9 of 14 and only gets 14 shots. A guy that has shown that he can control the offense and do that stuff, so... Yeah, and then as Chris S. points out, and then we've been playing a lot through Nurk, which we did at points in this game, but for a great portion of it, it was mostly the guards just shooting. So that takes away touches from him and makes him probably a little less happy with his role and all that kind of stuff. So it's, to me, I don't even think it's necessarily Norm's fault. It's just, I think his play style, unless he's just a corner 3-point shooter that plays good defense, which he's not playing good defense, so this isn't the case. But if he just stayed in the corner, played good defense, and shot open threes off kickouts from Ant and CJ or Nurk, I think he would be perfect for this team. But unfortunately, we've just seen too much that like he just can't fit into that offense, and he just takes away touches from people who probably deserve them a little more than he does at this point. So
yeah, he needs to go play for a team that needs a guy to take up some touches.
Yeah.
And we have too many guys, even with Dame out, we still have too many guys that like deserve more touches. I mean, here's go ahead.
That's why he's perfect for like a Cleveland that has a really good defense. Like those big men can save him. He can play more aggressive on the perimeter. So if he gets beat, they have that back line of defense to counteract that. And they have a primary ball handler in Garland. Obviously, you wouldn't want to take the ball out of his hands, but they don't really have a secondary ball handler like we have now, including Dame, 3 of them. So, a team like that would be perfect for him, in my opinion. And even a team like New Orleans, which we always talk about, I think he would fit in well there because Ingram can handle the ball and pass a little bit. Devontae Graham can handle the ball and shoot and stuff, but like he's not. You don't have to have him be ball dominant or whatever. So like, I do think he still fits in a lot of places.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing though, it's so funny to me because like there's a lot of people, and we talked about it at length multiple times. There's a lot of people that are very critical of CJ McCollum, but a lot of their criticisms, I feel like, actually hold more weight if they were levied towards Norman Powell and not CJ McCollum, right? Like, CJ McCollum maybe, will take more dribbles and isolation to make something happen, but outside of that, he looks to pass a lot more, and he's a much better passer. And people act like CJ doesn't pass, and CJ can't pass, and CJ doesn't want to pass, and he's selfish, and all sorts of stuff. But Norman Powell next to Anthony Simons, Norman Powell isn't helping Anthony Simons get quality shots. There was multiple times throughout this game where CJ McCollum helped Anthony Simons get quality shots, right? And that's why I've never
including a lob dunk.
Including a lob dunk. One-handed off the dribble lob pass from CJ McCollum, right? And it's funny because people will make the argument that, you don't want, similar guards in the backcourt. They're too duplicative in terms of how they play offense. That's why Dame and CJ have never been a good fit together, and now, like Anthony Simons and CJ isn't a good fit together. You want a guy like Norman Powell, right? People have made that argument that Norman Powell's a better fit offensively. But Norman Powell, like Anthony Simons playing off of Norman Powell isn't a threat because Norman Powell isn't a guy that really creates for others. He shot 17 shots from the field today and 12 free throws, so that's, maybe 6 more possessions where he's driving, trying to make something happen on his own, right? 1 assist in 36 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, Anthony Simons is not a threat playing off Norman Powell. Anthony Simons is a threat playing off CJ McCollum. He was a lob threat. He is a spot-up shooting threat. And CJ McCollum can draw Anthony Simons' defender, right? So that's why I've never understood the argument that having 2 guards that, play like Damien Lillard or CJ McCollum or Anthony Simons in the backcourt is a bad thing offensively and not cohesive. I actually think it's the other way around because those guys can maximize each other, right? Because they can draw each other's defenders. Damien Lillard, there's all this talk about him not being an off-ball player. Now we know he was hurt to start this year. Damien Lillard, catch and shoot-wise, last year was, I think, in the top 2% in the league. So if CJ McCollum is really the only guy that's been on this roster that could actually draw enough attention and be good enough as a shot creator to get Dame an open catch-and-shoot 3 consistently, that's why I've never understood why Norman Powell is a better offensive fit. What are your thoughts?
I think it's more just people assume because it's like if you get a reputation that you're a better defender than someone, people just assume it's true and will refuse to believe anything else. So I think it's just that they think Norm would be a better defender at the 2 than at the 3.
I mean, I can understand that. That's like a different argument though than the offense.
I don't think many people think the offense would be better.
I mean, I've heard that argument. I've heard the argument that Dame and CJ aren't cohesive offensively and that Powell's a better fit offensively next to Dame. You know what I mean? And like same thing for CJ and Simons or Dame and Simons or whatever. Like Powell is the best fit next to one of those guys because of the way he plays offensively. When he's probably the biggest black hole who looks to pass the least and has the least ball handling ability of the four. I've just never understood that argument. And, just watching Simons play off of CJ today, with CJ being a guy who's been heavily criticized for being selfish and he's going to ruin Ant's development and all sorts of things, it's just funny to see Norman Powell come out tonight and play the way he did.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's frustrating. And then you see someone like CJ Ellerbee come off the bench, and you're like, it leaves you wondering if he would have played Norm's minutes last game, would we have been better off and probably won that game? And the answer is probably yes. Yeah, you did say that last night.
And there's some people that acted like I was kind of crazy in chat, if I recall correctly. So, I mean, I think we would have been better off last game because we don't need a dude who shoot as much as Norman Powell's shooting. We need a guy who plays with energy and plays some defense, and that's what Ellerbee did tonight.
Mm-hmm. Ellerbee was great, man. That guy. Let me just say this. This is why I don't understand the argument against going young, because you watch what this coaching staff is doing in just a short time with all these young players. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that CJ Ellerbee didn't even look like a G League player, let alone an NBA player.
He didn't even look like a Summer League player in Summer League.
And when we get to my breakdowns, man, like, it's like one long thing, but, like, seriously, this guy has useful skills. He can put the ball on the floor. He can shoot if he's hitting his threes. He can play defense. He hustles. I mean, like, in the first half of this game, he looked like a starter level player in the NBA, and that's just amazing to look at. And then you see, like, the development of Ant in just a short time when he gets minutes. You see the development of Nas when he gets minutes. So, like, this is why, like, people say, oh, you can't go young, you'll ruin Dame's career. Like, he'll never have a chance to win a ring if you go young. Why not? Like, these guys might even give him a better chance to win playing with some youth and energy and players that have another level that they can learn to get to versus a bunch of veterans who are kind of set in their ways. So yeah, I would like to just go that route, and I've always been in favor of that route.
Well, here's the thing that goes along with that people underrate. If I'm sure there's some people that I'd hear you say and be like, oh, that's crazy, right? But those people underrate roles on a team, okay? Yes, having more talent is a good thing, but you have to have players buy into certain roles, right? Mm-hmm. We don't need Norman Powell shooting 17 times in a game, especially with some of the shots he was jacking up there tonight, right? You got Nurkic 7 for 11 from the field, CJ McCollum 8 for 16 from the field, Anthony Simons 9 for 14 from the field. I mean, shoot, Trendon Watford 4 for 6 from the field. As a team, we actually shot over 50% from the field. I mean, we got beat defensively, and Norman Powell isn't better than CJ Ellerbee in that regard, right? So that's the thing. It's like, if you take Norman Powell's shots, because Ellerbee isn't going to get up as many, and just kind of spread them around with the guys who are actually shooting better, and then you have a better defender in that spot, you're probably going to have more of a chance in this game. You know what I mean? Despite Norman Powell being a more talented player than a CJ Ellerbee, you need certain things from certain roles. Roles matter. I mean, look at the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are greater than the sum of their parts, right? They have maybe the best complement of players that play a certain role and do certain things that help them win basketball games, and as a team, they really have no weaknesses because of it, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the thing with Portland, and that's why I've soured on Norman Powell, is you have Simons, you're going to have Dame back. I mean, right now you have Simons and CJ. Nurkic is having his most efficient season from 2 that he's ever had. And he's been passing the ball well lately, and he was a nominee for Player of the Week last week. you don't need Norman Powell to shoot 17 shots in a game. You need a guy who's going to be better defensively and kind of pick his spots and then, feed some of the guys that are shooting well. And CJ Ellerbee had 5 assists tonight in 20 minutes.
The only thing I'll say to that is I'm fine with him getting shots if it's within the flow of the offense or him because he was, getting out in transition or whatever, but not if it's 1-on-3 or something and not the kind of shots he was taking tonight. And if he's not hitting his threes, then he shouldn't be getting that many shots either.
Yeah. So anyway, Chris is now here to do graphics. So we had to get the Norm criticism out of the way before Chris got home because, that would have upset Chris as he's our biggest Norman Powell fan. Let's look at the team stats, then we'll hop to your breakdown. Actually, do you want to thank the the dono? We got dono and a member message.
Well, Kyle Wilson with the $5 dono. Rough game, but could be worse. Got robbed at work today. I work at a bank, so I was just grateful to see us play tonight. Keep up the good work, man. I hope you're okay, Kyle. Hope everyone's safe at your work. That sounds super scary, man.
That was not what I was expecting to hear from the dono message. Like,
he says the guy had his hand in his jacket and said he had a gun or something.
Scary.
So man, I'm glad everyone's okay. I know you're trained to deal with that kind of stuff, but I'm sure that's super scary.
I mean, training can't replicate
right. I know
the reality of that sort of situation. So sorry to hear that, Kyle. Thank you for the dono, man. Hopefully that doesn't happen to you again. Shout out to Chris S. 12-month member message. He says, let's just stop to appreciate the quadruple single Tony Snell had in his first 26 minutes. 1 free throw, 1 assist, 1 rebound, and 1 personal foul. Sadly ruined it in garbage time, though. Thank you, Chris S., for your 12-month member message. What did Tony Snell do at the start of the second half? Because I missed the start of the second half, and I saw people freaking out about him.
I don't know particularly what that means.
What do you mean?
I don't know what you're referring to.
Oh, I mean, there was just a stretch I missed where, like, people were freaking out at him, saying, cut him, he's horrible, like...
I mean, I just... That's the worst part about the injuries right now. We were so injured we had to play him after taking him out of the rotation. We start playing really good once he's taken out of the rotation. Might as well have been that bank robber because he's robbing us of millions. Yeah, good one, Beerus.
He was boxing a guy out and watched the ball move straight past him.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. He boxed... I forgot who it was, but he boxed someone out, and the ball, went on the floor, and all the Blazers were just kind of waiting for Snell to grab it because he was boxed out as guy, and the ball just rolled right past him to the guy who picked him up, and then he was boxing out. It was really funny.
Yeah. Tony, I mean, I'm upset I missed it because I would have loved to have partaken in that Tony Snell bashing session. I'm not muted right now, Eric. What do you mean?
I can't hear you at all.
Through Skype? You can't hear me through Skype, huh? Well, that's not good. Snell beyond Shackton. Eric Brandt.
Did you mute yourself on Skype or something?
No, I didn't mute myself on Skype at all. I don't know what happened. I never even open Skype unless I mute myself for the space. But
your mic sounds terrible now to me. I don't know.
Does it?
I heard it on YouTube. It sounds fine, but yeah.
I mean,
something happened in Skype. Yeah.
Yeah, Skype's glitching. Does it still sound terrible? What does it sound like? Give me a reenactment.
It just sounds like it's a poor quality mic is all.
Let me make sure. Let me just take the Skype.
It's fine. As long as it's working fine in YouTube, I can handle it.
Nah. It might have randomly switched the input for no reason, so I'm just gonna check to make sure.
On YouTube, it's fine. It's not YouTube. It would be in Skype is the only thing.
Yeah. Does this sound better? Does it sound better?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, for some reason it switched my input for some reason. So, cool. Glad to fix that for you. I didn't want to drive you insane for the rest of the stream. All right. Team stats. Team stat time. Yeah, look at those percentages for Dallas. 55% from the field, 44% from three, 77% from the free throw line. They just doubling up on numbers there. 51% from the field for Portland. So it wasn't like we had a bad shooting night. We continued our horrible free throw shooting, though. We've really been struggling in terms of shooting free throws the past couple of weeks, and that continues tonight. Norman Powell, 7 for 12 from the free throw line. His last free throw he missed, he almost airballed, and it looked weird coming out of his hands. Nurkic, 4 for 7. Nurkic as a big man, you understand it a little bit more. 4 for 7 isn't good, but, it's 7 for 12 for Norman Powell as a shooter. I don't understand that. Powell has been shooting fine on the season, 82% from the free throw line. So, maybe it's just a rust thing. What else jumps off the page to you other than no offensive rebounds in this game for either team?
Yeah. Both teams didn't turn the ball over a lot, so that was good, I guess. We beat them in points in the paint, surprisingly, with how many lob and easy baskets they had. It's just really the shooting, and we didn't do a good job of rebounding tonight either, which was something that we usually are good at.
Yeah. 6 offensive rebounds when they're making 55% of their shots. It's a fine number, but we did not get on the offensive glass, and maybe that can be explained by having a lack of size in the front court. We were starting Tony Snell at the power forward spot, and we know he's not getting an offensive rebound or a defensive rebound for that matter, so even if he blocks out. So that's probably part of the reason there.
And the 44% three-point shooting by them is just way too many kickouts to wide open shooters in the corners, and they were hitting almost every one of them, and just not going to win many games that way.
Yep. Points in the paint pretty even. Fouls pretty even. We never led. They led by 23, we won by 20. So, not honestly, fast break points even. It's really just the shooting numbers for them. And then, turnovers the same. So you can't let a team shoot 55% from the field and 44% from three and expect to win games. It's that simple.
Yep.
Anyway, I will have your breakdown ready in a second. It was just one play, right?
Yeah, well, it's just several pictures from actually 2 plays in a row, but it's all pertaining to the same thing, so I just put them all together.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I didn't need to download something else. I will get that up here. All right.
Yeah, so we're down 18 at several points and cut it to 4 at one point, and was looking good, and then I think Nurk went out, and our team just went to crap.
Yeah, unfortunate. All right, here we go.
Right, so I wanted to highlight this because CJ Ellerbee deserves a Brant's breakdown after tonight's play. Just getting things done. I didn't get I wanted to include one more, but we'll just talk about it at the end. But here we have him. Now, we know he's not the quickest player in the world, but he does such a good job of creating angles and going quick when he catches the ball and being decisive with the ball. So here he grabs the ball, goes right around the defender, gets in the paint. You can just kind of go through fast the pictures. Sidesteps the big and lays it in for 2 points. So just creating something out of nothing, out of, one of you thought was going to be one of your worst players on your roster. But here he is out there creating a bucket. Next possession, in the next slide, he gets the ball on the other side. What does he do? He drives past Josh Green here.
Wait. First, wait. Is Norman Powell standing out of bounds and calling for the ball?
I think he's saying to pass it up top.
Oh. He had his hand up like he wanted the ball.
No, I think he was. I think he had passed out to CJ Ellerbee and he was telling him to set up the offense.
Oh,
but
okay.
CJ Ellerbee thankfully ignores Norm here, and he blows right by Josh Green into the middle of the defense. And as you can see in the next slide, he sucks basically everyone in. CJ does a good job of moving to the corner. Ellerbee with a great pass to a wide open CJ, and we get one of our best shooters a wide open three. Simply because 2 plays in a row, CJ Ellerbee drove to the basket. One he scores on. The next play they collapse on him because he just scored, and he kicks out to a wide open shooter.
Yep.
And then the next time he gets the ball, a couple plays later, he drives baseline and dumps it off to Watford for an easy 2 because the defense collapsed once again. So just great few minutes there by CJ Ellerbee. It was really fun to watch him play like that. And I just want players like that to play right now. And I don't think Shervin's watching right now, but like I got into it with him and he was really frustrating the crap out of me and it got a little personal. So okay, what's up, Shervin? You are here. So yeah, like, cause he doesn't, every time he argues, it's like, he says something that's like a fact, but it's not like, well, you can't do this 20 games into the season or whatever, like some arbitrary number that's supposed to mean something that doesn't. And he refuses to back off of that no matter what you say. But CJ Ellerbee, Anthony Simons, Nasir Little, Trenton Watford, these are the exact reasons why you hold your starters accountable from day one. Day one, game one, maybe even preseason. You frickin' put those guys in. You sit guys on the bench when they have they slack off on defense or fall asleep, or I don't care if it's Dame, I don't care if it's CJ, I don't care if it's Norm, I don't care if it's Nurk. You sit their butt on the bench when they're being lazy. If they sit around complaining about a call, don't get back, and their guy scores on the other end, you take them out of the game immediately. That's accountability. And if Chauncey would have done that from the beginning of the season, I felt like he would have gotten through to a lot of these guys sooner. And CJ is showing that he can take criticism. He can take it. He can play whatever you need him to play. And he's been doing a really good job and deserves credit since he came back of doing that for the most part. Now, you're always going to have moments where you regress back into your old playing style. So it's never going to be perfect. And you shouldn't be like, every little mistake matters, but as long as you're playing hard, I don't have a problem with you out on the floor. But the minute you stop playing hard, I don't care who you are, put in someone who does. And that's exactly what Chauncey said he was going to do, and it's exactly what he failed to do, and it's the exact reason why this team, I feel like, is now showing promise, because we're playing all these guys that could have played from the beginning of the season and gave some freaking effort, and it was disgusting watching this team just lollygag through first quarters. We get down by 12 points in the first 4 minutes, and every freaking game it's like, well, we got to punch him in the mouth first. Every game we're just getting punched in the mouth. How many times do we have to freaking hear that when we were listening to Chauncey Billups' press conferences earlier in the season? It's like we should have been doing that from day one. We probably would have a winning record by now because guys like Norm might have actually like not gotten lost and completely gone to where you're so lazy that you can't even contribute anymore. You know, it's like I just feel like that would have been the right thing. And if there were guys that you lost, like let's say Norm got so mad he didn't even want to play for this team anymore, then I don't give a crap. Get his butt out, trade his ass then. Like, get him out of town. That's how you treat it. If you're about accountability, if you're putting an address on it. But Chauncey failed to do that. He did not put an address on it. And now that he had to because of all the injuries, he had to play those guys, and he had to put an address on it and stuff. And he's doing an address with the young guys, and they're responding well. And look at Ant. How many times have you heard the Blazers broadcast say this year, where Ant told Chauncey, be hard on me. Tell me every time I mess up, I want to know what I'm doing wrong. I want you to tell me that I did this wrong so I can fix it. And that's the attitude. I want guys like that on this team, and this is why I am putting my future into Anthony Simons and players like, I don't care if it's CJ Ellerbee or Trenton Watford. I'll roll with those guys any day of the week versus someone who comes in the game and lollygags up and down the court.
Yep, and Shervin has a quote from Chauncey Billups all the way back on December 4th. Chauncey said, I've never seen a team that needs its bench to inspire its starters. That's crazy to me. It's supposed to be the other way around. So Chauncey realized that, but still, I think the game after that, he comes out, Dame plays 38, 39 minutes. I mean, I can go look at the box score for the game after that. Let's go do that. Yeah, so he said that on December 4th. The game after that was the Clippers. Okay, the Clippers at home. We lost 102-90. Let's see. Norman Powell played 44 minutes in that game. Dennis Smith Jr. got the start. He played 39 minutes.
I think that's right when Dame started his 10-day.
Yeah. But Norman Powell was, in that stretch, was one of the most egregious offenders of, like, doing lazy things. And it was stuff like he would just drive into a defender and then just, like, flail and throw something at the rim even though it wasn't close to a foul. And then he just wouldn't even run back on defense and would just, like, look at the ref and start complaining and let his guy run past him for a layup. He did that way too many times, and it was, there was other smaller things. But, like, Norman Powell was maybe playing some of the laziest basketball of anyone on the team, right? And the night after Chauncey says that, Norman Powell plays 44 out of 48 minutes. CJ Ellerbee plays 9 minutes. 9 minutes. which is crazy. Tony Snell puts me to sleep, Eric. Tony freaking Snell played 32 minutes. He was 2 for 4, had 4 points. 32 minutes. Like, what is Tony Snell doing? You know what I mean? Like, finally, you start playing Watford, and now it's like Watford plays ahead of Snell. You know what I mean? I mean, Watford plays more 5, and Snell plays more 4 or 3 or whatever, but it's like, dude, why is Ellerbee playing 9 minutes in that game, and Snell's playing 32 as the starting 3? You know what I mean?
Why are players playing 30-plus minutes if you're questioning their effort?
That's exactly the point.
Right. Yeah.
Like, he knew what the issue was, and he still played guys. Still played Norm, still played Snell way too many minutes over guys that actually brought it, right? He didn't hold those guys accountable enough. There's absolutely no doubt about that in my mind. It's so funny to look at this box score knowing that this game happened right after Chauncey said that.
Emerson, we were absolutely on here saying that Rocco was playing games where he was playing 39, 40 minutes. We were saying that's not warranted. How many games in a row did you say Nance only got 18 minutes? He should be playing 25, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't know. We're not saying play Blevins, of course.
Yeah, I don't know where he got Blevins from. I've never said
when we were healthy, actually, Blevins wasn't even out on the active roster, so that gives me a pass there. But, I mean, honestly, though, if you're truly about accountability and your guys aren't playing well, then having Dame's cousin play over you is quite the insult, and better get you to...
I mean, especially when the dude can't even... make a dunk where he jumps high enough to dunk it. He still can't dunk. I mean, like, it might have resulted in some bigger losses, but a loss is a loss, and we
lost all those games anyway. We sucked in December, right? We suck. Why? That box score you looked at? How much did we lose by?
12.
Yeah. To who?
Against the Clippers.
Yeah.
At home.
Yeah. It's like. We were terrible that month. We've got, I think at one point, 10
out of 11 games were losses. The only team we beat was Detroit.
I don't think we quite got to 11 games under 500, but we were 10 games under 500 at one point.
We went from 10-8 to 11-18.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it was a situation where, like, you could tell in, like, the first quarter, like, oh, we're losing tonight because these guys are playing so lazy, and it's not going to change, and they're not going to be held accountable. Even if the game was relatively close, I could tell, and I would tell people, Eric, I don't know if you remember this, I would tell people in our group chat, I would say, yeah, there's no way we win this game. And people would be like, oh, we can still come back. I'm like, no, we're not winning this game. There's no shot we come back. Like, you could tell that this team on a lot of nights during early December just didn't have it mentally, didn't have enough energy, was playing lazy. And there was nothing done to fix it. And we still lost games. And, like, Dame would play 40-plus minutes in a game. We lost by 15, and we're losing by double digits the whole second half. Same thing with Norman Powell, same thing with Rocco. Yeah, it was horrible. It was managed horribly.
Yeah. And I mean, we said the same thing. Dame, I want to say his first game back after the 10-day rest, he plays like 39, 40 minutes in a game. And then the only reason why he didn't play more, he was on pace to play 40 minutes in like 5 straight games, but we lost some of them by 30, so he didn't have to come back in at the end, right?
Yeah.
So he only played like 34 minutes those games instead.
But still,
so,
if you lose by 30, you shouldn't be playing
right,
34
exactly.
minutes.
I know. It's just...
Yeah.
It's... I will say this. It's really difficult to hold players accountable that are like stars or that are established starters, or, you know, in Norm's case, maybe you promised him something in free agency to get him to resign here. You know, there's some politics involved, and I think that's the reason why we can't necessarily bench him completely right now. But he had a pass tonight to not play him 36 minutes. He could have used the minutes restriction again and just said, no, Norm got the start because of injury, but unfortunately he was limited to 24 minutes or whatever tonight, and would have been fine. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wonder what would have happened if Nas was here, or if at least like Dennis Smith Jr., so we had another guard. But we had a lineup in the fourth quarter. I think we were only down like 10 or so, but we had the freaking 4-guard lineup with McLemore as our power forward, and it's like, okay.
I mean, in this game, with how many forwards we were missing, I guess. You know what I mean? I can't really complain about that, I guess. But, yeah. Yeah, it's been a problem. Shervin in the chat says, by the way, after Chauncey said that, he got ripped apart by fans and media for losing the team and losing the locker room, and the narrative was that he's deflecting the blame, and nobody thought he had the credibility to put his foot down like that a month into his first head coaching gig. So what? Okay. That shouldn't affect his coaching. Who cares?
Listen,
who cares what the narrative is from like a section of the fan base on Twitter and the media?
This is so stupid. Okay. He can't do that because he was the first-year coach, right? Then why did every single player, every single one of them on media day was like, we're going to be accountable, and it's all about accountability, right? Why would every freaking player say that if they weren't going to do it? That's so dumb. It's like, okay, we're going to be about accountability, but wait a minute. I'm a first-year coach. I have to wait till December 27th. Then we played 34 games. Now we can start holding people accountable. There you go, Shervin. There you go. There's that mystical number that you will create out of nowhere to make it up, right? To make up some weird argument. So, like, no, lose me with all that. Like, no, you do it from the beginning. Every one of those players said they wanted to be held accountable. And like I said, if you did not want to be held accountable from the beginning, get the frick out of here. I don't want you on my team. So get out of here, man.
Benching them doesn't mean you sit them for the rest of the game. That means normally they come out at the 9-minute mark, but like first possession of the quarter, they don't run back on defense and they're lazy. You sub them out early. And you talk to them about it, right? That's called like benching them, right? You don't mean like bench them for the rest of the game, correct?
No. Or, yeah, I mean, maybe in some extreme cases, right?
Yeah, if it's really, really, really bad, yeah.
But, like, here's the problem, okay? We come out flat, right? You don't bench anybody, right? Mm-hmm. After the game, you're like, I don't know what it is. We're just coming out flat right now. Hopefully next game it's better. Next game, we come out flat. We're down like 19-7, right? Call a timeout. After the game, we just got to play better at the beginning of the games. Like, I don't know why we're coming out so slow. Doesn't do anything about it, though, right? Same starting lineup next game. This happened like 6 or 7 games in a row, right? And it was like, well, we're fighting from behind at the beginning. We got to come out here and play better from the beginning. I'm trying to instill this mindset. Well, if you would have just done that from like one game, you give it a pass, right? Second game, then you start holding people accountable. Be like, dude, okay, why did you come out of the game this way? Like, why did you start the game off acting like what? Nurk, why are you moping around at the beginning of the game? Like, you wanted to be a bigger role. You wanted to have all these extra like coverages and things like that. Like, if you're not going to be engaged from the beginning of the game, then I can't give you that stuff, and you need to sit on the bench. So the other thing is like Norm. Like if you're gonna pout and like not pressure on defense and not fight through screens or whatever. Same with Dame and CJ. Like, why didn't you fight through those screens at the beginning of the game? Like, we had this game plan for you to fight through the screen right off the bat, and you didn't do it. And if their answer is like, dude, so I'm sorry, but like until you next game, I'll give you another shot. But like right now, I'm going to put in someone who's going to fight through those screens, and those guys will respond. CJ will respond. Dame will respond. I don't know about Norm. I would hope he would have responded to that. But if you let it go for as long as Chauncey did, then there's certain people that you can't then all of a sudden start holding them accountable because that's not what you did the first 30 games.
Yeah, and the way you lose the locker room is by saying you're going to hold people accountable and then you don't hold them accountable.
Or only holding certain people accountable.
Yeah.
And that's even worse. And that's why Popovich, I mean, I'm not saying he could have fixed this team or whatever, but day one, he went to Tim Duncan and he was like, dude, I am treating you like you are a scrub and I am going to chew you out every time you mess up because I think you could be a great player and I'm not going to settle for you doing anything less than achieving your full potential. And Duncan was like, thank you. I want that. Do that every time. If you see me lollygagging, I want you to call that out. So, like, there's no reason why Chauncey couldn't have come in and done that.
I mean, I hate when people... I hate non sequiturs, man. I hate non sequiturs. And anytime we have this conversation, there's always the non sequitur of, well, Jim Boylan. As if like Jim Boylan and Chauncey Billups aren't completely different people, and as if the only coaching thing that they can do is hold players accountable. And there's multiple different ways of holding players accountable. We don't know what Jim Boylan was saying in practice. We don't know what he was saying at halftime. We don't know if he was yelling at players. We don't know if he was cussing them out. We don't know, like, how drastic he was with benching players, because none of you guys watch the Chicago Bulls, right? There's so many different things that goes into coaching a team. But when we talk about Chauncey Billups holding players accountable, somehow people think that, oh, well, he can't because look at what happened with Jim Boylan. That's a complete non sequitur, right? And I hate that argument. I hate it when it's like, it's a good discussion, and, you know, I hate it. Like, this is just personally my experience and a lot of discussions I have. I feel like I'll make pretty good points for something, and then people will just toss a non sequitur in it to throw it off the rails. And that's what Jim Boylan is to this conversation. What does Jim Boylan have to do with anything? Jim Boylan is not Chauncey Billups. Okay. And this locker room isn't the Bulls locker room.
I think this is where the separation is. It's like, you think, like, accountability doesn't mean like you're a jerk or strict, or like Jim Boylan, I guess, was like making them run like 8 times as much like conditioning drills as any other coach in the league was making them. He was making them come in on days off or like before, like in shoot-arounds in games, and make them do conditioning drills and stuff. It's like stuff that like no other coach does. It was like stuff just to be a jerk, you know, like that's completely different. Chauncey had every one of these guys respect from day one. He could have absolutely gotten him, and that's exactly why he was hired, because he was the type of person who could not only be like strict with these guys, but also command their respect. And that was his job, and that's what he said he needed to do. And I'm glad he figured it out. So, like, credit to him for now doing it. But moving forward, especially if we don't make a trade within, you know, I mean, I'm hoping this isn't a problem after 15 days from now. But, like, if we don't make a trade within the next few days, and this is still a problem for the next couple weeks, he's got to figure out how to fix it without it becoming a problem to where it could start affecting trade value, or like teams could be starting to question, like, why isn't this guy playing very hard right now, or so, you know, like, I don't know. But yeah, Jim Boylan, that's a terrible example, because there's people who are just like mean and like strict coaches and stuff like that. But Chauncey, it's not about being mean. It's about demanding that players do certain things. And when they don't do those things, you let them know that's not what you expect. And once again, it's how those players respond to that. And if you are a good player you would respond well to that. Like, any player who does not respond to that, any player who would have been like, oh, this guy's the next Jim Boylan, that player will never be good in the NBA and will never, ever reach their potential because they have a horrible mindset. So I don't like making excuses because someone's tough on you that they're just a jerk coach and that's not how you get through to players and you'll burn players into the ground or whatever. Like, I don't think that's it at all.
Yeah. I mean, if a player doesn't respond well to accountability in Game 10, there's no reason why they're going to respond better in Game 40 or 50. That's a terrible argument.
And what happens when you need them to adjust or do something differently in a playoff series and they're just like, nah, you know?
I mean, yeah, it's I don't understand. Like, just because he's a first-year head coach doesn't mean he can hold players, or it doesn't mean he can't hold players accountable in Game 5 or Game 10. And it doesn't mean that if he can't do it then, that he can do it now. Like, that argument makes no sense. Like, Shervin will make that argument, and Shervin, I just wonder... No offense, man. I'm curious if you've played basketball for a coach before, because you're not going to... Like, it's not like these guys didn't have respect for Chauncey when he was coming in Game 5 or Game 10, right? You don't, like, if it's a first-time head coach and your first time playing for a coach, sure, you know, it's good to build some rapport, but if you respect the coach, your first game, and he holds you accountable, you either respond well to that or you don't. It's not gonna, like, why would you respond better 20 games in, or 30 games in, or 40, like, what changes? Right? I don't understand that argument. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. And it's like you have these young guys responding well, and they've been responding well all season long, okay? And you have veterans that still don't seem like they're responding well. But wait, we benched Rocco, and he started playing with a little better energy and a little bit harder. You know what I mean? Why couldn't you have done that earlier? Okay, or why couldn't he have at least, you know, instead of playing Rocco 36 minutes a game and Larry Nance Jr. like 16 minutes a game, which he did very early in the season, why couldn't he have played Rocco 26 or 28 minutes a game and Larry Nance Jr. 22 minutes a game? You think Rocco's going to quit in that sort of scenario? You think Rocco's going to respond poorly? If he responds poorly to that, then that says everything about Rocco, and that doesn't say anything about Chauncey. That doesn't make Chauncey Jim Boylan. You know what I mean? Like, it's a bunch of things that don't make sense whatsoever. And I think that's, like, I saw you and Shervin's argument, and I agreed with you. Like, it didn't make sense. Like, you're not going to preach accountability day one, and then, early in the season, not hold players accountable, and then halfway through the season, start holding players accountable and expect it to go well. So it doesn't make sense for Chauncey to wait on that. You got to hold players accountable from the jump. And if your players know that you're doing it in the best interest of the team, they'll either respect that or they won't.
And for the record, I'm sure Chauncey will say the same thing. Mistakes happen. Players can make 10 mistakes a game, and like really bad ones, but that doesn't mean they weren't playing hard or like weren't giving effort, or at least like trying, or maybe they had the wrong read or reacted wrong or something. And that's something to where Chauncey could work with. And because that's what Shervin's point was. He had like a team where the starting lineup was set and he had to give them time to like see what they could do before being hard on them. But the thing is, that goes for everything except for effort, energy, laziness, stuff like that. And that's where I draw the line. If it's they're making mistakes learning the system, but at least they're like, you can see progress being made and they're trying to run the set the right way, or they're trying not to be a ball hog and they're making the extra pass and stuff like that, and we're just not hitting shots and we're losing games because of that. That's one thing. But we're literally losing games because everyone's like moping around the court, like, oh man, I forgot to box out, forgot to run out the shooter, forgot to close out hard, forgot to get back in transition defense, yada yada yada, right? And that's the stuff that you don't allow at all. You don't allow it at all. And once you allow it a little bit, it's really hard to get it back. And luckily for him, he hasn't had to deal with any of the problems that got away from this team earlier in the season because most of those guys have been out of the lineup. But now as they start to come back in, you have to wonder how that'll work out. And so, like, the easiest solution would be to trade those guys. And this is where I was wrong from the beginning, because I thought Chauncey was going to do this from the beginning of the season, and I thought we would be in better shape because of it. But since he didn't do that, and because some of these guys were a lot less accountable than I thought they would be, we were obviously not as good of a team as I thought we would be. That is absolutely 100% proven by now. But, like, this is the frustrating part. We've seen over the last 3 weeks that there is a good team in there and could have been in there, and we probably wouldn't have been so far behind of possibly having home court advantage right now if we would have seen it.
We didn't see that team tonight, unfortunately. We didn't see that team tonight, unfortunately, but this team has been playing better. Here's the thing, too, in regards to Shervin's argument. There's a big gray area. There's a big gray area. Just because your starting lineup is set in stone doesn't mean you have to play Norman Powell 44 out of 48 minutes. It doesn't mean you have to play Robert Covington 36 minutes when he's playing lazy. Right? It's like it's like guys that played with less energy somehow got more minutes. It was like backwards. So, yeah, Eric will be fine. Gray Hughes says, yeah, it's always gray for me. You're funny. Anyway, I'm gonna wait for Eric to get back. Eric probably just needs to get some water. Let's just jump into player cards. I'm about ready to go with player cards. Was not ready to solo this segment, but I'll be fine. All right, let's jump into the player cards. Eric should be back in a second. Anthony Simons, very solid game today. If this was a situation where he didn't have CJ or Norm, I feel like it might have been a 35 to 40 point game. 23 points for him, 7 assists, 9 for 14 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3. So efficient from 2, he was 5 for 7 from 2. Efficient from 3, 4 for 7. Made his only free throw as a technical. That's kind of the next evolution of his offensive game, in my opinion. Is he has to figure out how to get to the free throw line a little bit more, because he shot the free throw well so far this year. He had some good moments defensively. He had some bad moments when he's like team defense and getting through screens. He's pretty solid at, in my opinion. On ball and isolation, he struggles. So it's kind of like the opposite of Nasir Little. And there's a couple times where he struggled guarding on the ball in isolation situations, and it's honestly him just kind of opening the door too quickly. He needs to do a better job at just trying to slide in front and absorb contact instead of kind of opening his shoulders and letting the guy drive on him. That's kind of the thing that I've been noticing with his defense lately. It was nice that he got a dunk today. Good to see him get an alley-oop. Good back cut there. And that's the thing, is when he's shooting the ball really well, defenders are going to play up on him. They don't want him to run off a screen and catch a open three-point shot. Defenses know that this guy's a sniper. Okay, so defenders are going to play him tight. That's why you got to run more stuff for him. We don't run enough off-ball action for him to get open threes. I wish we would run more of the stuff that we do for McLemore, for Anthony Simons. And that's the thing. If you do that and defenders are up on him, then he can back cut and catch a lob. And that's what happened. CJ threw a phenomenal pass and utilized his athleticism, because that's the thing, is like he's been playing really good offensively, but still, like, his jumping ability has not really been utilized at all. So it was nice to see that. Also, if you're spamming dumb stuff in chat, wins, stop spamming or you're gonna get banned. All right. Actually, you know what? I haven't banned anybody in a minute. There we go. That felt good. Get that out of my system. Anyway, let's move on to the next player, I guess. Unless Eric is back. Oh, what's up, Eric? Do you want to... Ant. I just said everything I want to say about Ant. What do you want to say about Ant?
Well, thought he had a good game. Um, I do like. I wanted to mention when we got to him, his comments after last game. Uh, he knows he messed up with what we talked about in letting D'Angelo Russell drive with his left hand, and it was nice to see him recognize that, and Chauncey talk about how much he's learning on the job and all that kind of stuff. So that was one thing I was really excited to hear from him. But I thought Ant was pretty good tonight. Shot the ball well, just didn't get many opportunities. And I find it frustrating that we don't run anything really to get him shots. Like we have Norman and CJ back, right? If they have the ball, why are we not running some off-ball action for Ant more often?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I made that point, and it's like defenders will play up on him. Out of those actions, he can actually back cut, and that's kind of how he got his lob from CJ. So, yeah, agreed. Let's move on to CJ McCollum. CJ's despicable act. McCollum. He got a flagrant today, Eric. And I saw some people calling it dirty. Let's just start off with this conversation. So he gets a flagrant where he drives and uses his off arm and puts the off arm in the guy's throat. Okay, and people are calling that dirty. I don't think that's a dirty play whatsoever. Every high-level scorer will pick up offensive fouls from time to time where they're using their off arm. It just so happened to be higher, but there's no reason for CJ to drive in and like off arm somebody up high like that. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like an instinctual thing. You know, I don't think that was intentional at all. So I don't see how that was a dirty play. And it actually surprised me that some people were trying to argue that.
I mean, I think people are just saying something about his reputation and the quick tweet. Anytime CJ commits a flagrant, there's people bring up the quick tweet from the Pelican series. Yeah,
I mean, there's some plays he has, some fouls he has where it's like, that seemed kind of suspect, but that wasn't one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why he didn't need to throw his arm up there, and I don't think it was a case of him driving and his arm just got up. I think it looked like he shoved him on purpose, but yeah.
I mean, it's like an instinctual thing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you've driven, Eric, and you, like, use your off arm, and you don't even think about it. You're just like, I just use my off arm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't try to. You don't, like, consciously
But he went up and then pushed out. Yeah, like, I don't know.
Yeah, but, like, I mean, that's how it looks like when other players do it, and I know from experience, because I'll do it myself. Like, I probably do it a little bit too much, but it's, like, to the body. You know what I mean? But, like, I'll do it, and it'll... Like, think it back, it's like, it seems deliberate, but it's not. It's like you're just battling against a guy, and it's physical, and it's, like, kind of natural to try and create some space and get them off you. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of an instinctual thing.
Yeah. So, Janot's asking what the tweet was. During the Pelican series, CJ didn't get a call on one end, and then he had a history of doing this where, so then they drove the other way and he like pulled someone down on a when they were up in the air on a shot, and so Quick tweeted out that CJ is always borderline on being dirty or something like that, being a dirty player, and then CJ got him and they had a back and forth about it and stuff. So that was what the tweet was, but CJ does have those kind of moments. But yeah, I didn't think that was flagrant worthy, but it was definitely an offensive foul.
Yeah.
But not dirty. It wasn't like he tried to hurt someone.
So
he didn't even hit him in the face either.
Yeah. So that was surprising. He had 5,036 minutes. He had a really good game though. 6 assists, only 2 turnovers. 8 for 16 from the field, including 4 for 10 from 3, 4 for 6 inside the arc. Played within the flow of the offense really, really well. Created multiple open shots for guys that ended up, missing some shots. Like, I think this was a game where if we, we shot well, but in terms of shooting on CJ's passes, like, I feel like this could have been a 10-assist game. Because I remember at least a couple open threes that Simons shot that CJ fed him that Simons ended up missing, and Simons had a decent shooting night. This was a really good game from CJ McCollum. Anybody saying, trade him just to trade him no matter what, you have to trade him under any circumstances, like that drastic I absolutely don't agree with. I want him gone. I want him traded. He would make sense for a lot of teams. But it's not like he's way too good for you to trade him just to trade him if you're not getting anything of value back. Like, he's a valuable player. You should be able to get value back. That's why I'm on board with trading him. But it's like in a game like this where he plays really well, I still see people saying, you just got to trade him just to trade him. One of those guys is Shervin. Since we talked about Shervin's opinion a little bit ago, that's another one of Shervin's opinions. Shervin calls in and participates in our power rankings and, is pretty noticeable here. So we'll just call it what it is. That type of stuff drives me crazy. Chill with that. If you're in chat and you talk like that, just relax, man. This dude is still a really good basketball player. We saw it tonight. I don't understand how CJ has become so underrated.
What's up, Romp? He says future Sixer.
I mean, it sounds like James Harden is the future Sixer, Romp, so have fun with that.
I saw a great tweet by Romp. He said he'd rather have Maxey and Halliburton as his future than Harden.
I'm sure you love that tweet as a Halliburton fan, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it sounds like they're not trading Harden. Sounds like Joel Embiid's MVP season is going to go to waste and they're going to lose in the first or second round. I feel for you, Romp. Maury is a moron.
But yeah, in regards to CJ, like outside of, there was that one really bad possession where he dribbled a bunch, spun to the middle, and got blocked. Didn't even really have a chance of getting the shot up over the defender. Outside of that, I thought he played within the offense once again. I thought most of his shots were good. He's getting a lot of shots within like the flow of a dribble handoff or a pick and roll situation or even just a catch and shoot like the one in the Brandt's breakdown. So I don't have any problem with CJ's been playing in the week he's been back.
Oh, I was muted. Dang it! How long was I muted? Yeah, here comes all the muted chat. Jackson, Beavis, Bonnie, Antonio, Alex, Emerson.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling me I'm muted. Sude, what's up, Sude? Good to see you, Sude. You just get a name shout out if you said muted in chat. But yeah, we'll talk about trades in a second because CJ would make a lot of sense on a couple different teams. It sounds like New Orleans is really interested in him, so we'll kind of discuss that rumor in a little bit after the Twitter space, or we can discuss it in the Twitter space if you want to call in and discuss that. Anyway, now people are saying muted so they get a name shout out. I am doing no more name shout outs.
Do you want to read this donation before we go on?
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Antonio. $5 dono. Appreciate it, Antonio. Says, seems like Ant has the same bounce and flexibility as Morant, but shies away from contact at the rim. Is it a psychological thing? Physically, he can. The biggest difference between John Morant and Anthony Simons is John Morant is really explosive, jumping out of like more awkward like body positions, right? Like he'll like come to a jump stop with like staggered feet and like his shoulder kind of turned to the rim, and he'll still be able to explode to the rim. Simons is explosive if he can get like the footwork right, like if he can just get a clean run up towards the rim, but he's nowhere near as explosive as Morant, like out of less optimal positions. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And
I think
that's something that gets underrated. Go ahead.
So how old is Ja right now? 23? Or is he younger than that?
He played 2 years at Murray State.
He's 22, so same age as Ant, basically.
Yeah, born August 10th. Let's see when Ant was born, because I'm curious to see which one of them is older. Ant's 2 months older.
Yeah, so this is a case of where Ant spends a year at an academy after high school. Ja Morant goes to Murray State and, gets to play a big role there, learn how to run an offense, learn how to do things. But he also is playing at kind of a lower division college to where, I mean, I know it's still Division I in NCAA basketball. That's not what I mean. But, it's not like the SEC or the ACC or the Big Ten or whatever. So he has a chance to, dominate, and he's, just dunking on fools and using all this athleticism. And then you get like confidence in that, and then as your game gets better, you get to a point where you're like doing all these crazy things and you can do it against elite competition. Whereas I think in terms of Anthony Simons, he's just been kind of in the background for several years trying to learn the game and process things. And I think for the first few years, people wanted him, coaching staff wanted him to just focus on his shot and ball handling and not necessarily use his athleticism to their advantage. So I think he's been, hopefully at some point he'll get unlocked in that regard, especially when he gets physically stronger. But I just don't think it's not like he's scared to do it. I think he's just not used to doing it and doesn't realize how much he could use that as a weapon. And I think you see it starting to shine through a little bit this year. But there has been times in the past where he could have absolutely yammed on someone, and he hasn't done it. He's chose to lay it in or whatever. And, hopefully as he gets older and realizes that he can use his athleticism to create even more advantages on his shot, that could come through for him. But I don't think it's him being scared to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think that's people just look at like, oh, how high can he jump? Mm-hmm. How quick is he? Oh, that's the same. They're the same sort of athlete, right? But it's some players are just able to be really explosive out of weird positions, with a defender on their hip and whatnot, and other guys just need to have the perfect kind of run up and footwork into it. And Simon seems more like the latter, while John Morant is kind of the former. What made Brandon Roy so good is like it wasn't like he was the most explosive athlete, but he was like really explosive out of any body position, any footwork. You know what I mean? Like he was just as explosive in an awkward position on an awkward drive as he was if he like had nobody around him. You know what I mean? That was something I noticed about Brandon Roy. That's probably a good example for that. Anyway, let's move on to Norman. I don't know what the nickname is. Chris, you're gonna have to explain that one because I don't get it. Chris put a line through his efficiency. What did you think we wouldn't be able to read it off on air, Chris? Are you embarrassed that your guy, as you are the biggest Norman Powell stan in the entire Blazers fandom, did you think that putting a line through his field goal numbers was gonna make it so we couldn't read it off? Norman Powell tonight, 19 points, 5 for 17 from the field, 2 for 9 from 3, 7 for 12 from the free throw line, and a minus 25. That definitely is not a plus 25. We already talked a lot about Norman, though, and Chris missed it.
0 career doubles. He had a chance. Yeah, he had 9 rebounds tonight. Good job, Norm.
He has no double-doubles for his career? That's surprising to me. Huh. I mean, doesn't Gary Trent Jr. have a double-double? Like, if Gary Trent Jr. has a double-double, you should have Norman Powell should have a double-double.
I think he does either.
You're going to make me look this up because I'm very curious, though.
It was kind of funny. There was a radio station that always joked about how it became like more and more every game, but there was a bet like, will Gary Trent Jr. get a double tonight? And it was like plus 1,200 or something.
Which still isn't good enough odds, honestly.
Yeah. They could do it, and then he ends up like 15 points, 2 rebounds or something. Yeah.
I don't think he... I don't think Gary Trent Jr. has ever had a double-double either. Yikes. I mean, you can't just chase rebounds for a game. They play enough minutes, you know. Mm-hmm. Actually, maybe the last game of his rookie year, he had let me check that. The Sacramento game. Nope, the Sacramento game, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, despite playing 48 minutes. That's the Gary Trent Jr. experience. Because, he had 19 points in that game, 8 for 19. But, never had a double-double. The anti-Westbrooks. Anyway, Maybe I skipped over a game where he did have a double-double, Gary Trent Jr., but anyway. Norm, we already talked about him. I mean, Is there anything that you wanted to say that you didn't yet? Or
No, just once again, I hope that he realizes it.
Bye, Norm.
I didn't see this. someone said he had it, or it was clearly a bot. I didn't see a response if you responded to me, but he said that Norm had a very interesting quote. Oh, Norm said it's fine as long as you're playing the right way and for each other. Even though it didn't really seem like that tonight, but once again,
LOL.
I'm willing to give Norm a little bit of a pass until he gets his legs back under him for the shooting. But yeah. He shouldn't be forcing shots though, if that's the case where he's, yeah.
Where's the Norbrick nickname, Krish? That's what I like that. I like that nickname when he struggles to shoot.
Hey, I mean, Rocco was out. We need a new team commander here. Here steps in Norman Powell. So can you really be mad at him? Maybe he
gave him the badges. I respect it, Krish. You know, that's all I can ask for.
Norm's doing his job. He came. They were like, dude, this team. All right, Norm. We paid you in the offseason. We know it's been rough this season, but here's the deal. We need you to be the one that comes in and messes all this up and makes it so Anthony Simon stops winning his games. And Norm was like, I got you guys.
But then he's going to take his trade value, though. You know, like, do we need him to tank the team, even if it tanks his trade value? Do we need him to boost his trade value, in turn boosting the team?
I think we could just make it seem like it's there. But, I mean, the worst part is maybe we don't trade him. But yeah.
I mean, we just need to trade him ASAP. I think that's the solution. Mm-hmm. Anyway, moving on to Yusuf Friendly Fire Nurkic. He took out Ben McLemore, looking like a football player. He got fouled. I think that's why he ended up taking him out. But, I mean, Nurkic started really rough. Like, the first couple of minutes of this game, Eric. Started really rough. After that, he was fine, though. He finished 7 for 11 from the field, including 7 for 10 from 2. Missed his only 3. Got to the line 7 times, made 4 of his free throws. Had 3 assists, a steal, 8 rebounds, 18 points. He did have 2 turnovers. They both came in the first couple of minutes.
First 2 possessions, yeah.
Yeah, so after that, he was fine. After that, he had a good game.
He was so bad at the beginning of this game. I was so frustrated with him. I mean, CJ makes a great cut. He's wide open. And Nurk just kind of flips it right into Porzingis' hands. You're like, fine, whatever. He threw a bad pass. But then he gets the ball and he tries to force a stupid pass the next possession. It's like, this is not the Nurk. Yeah, like, this is not who you are. Like, don't force it. Make good decisions. But he got double teamed right away. And I don't know. It's just, he was frustrated. And then he just let several people go right by him on defense. So, I was like, oh man, this is going to be a bad Nurk game. Luckily, he kind of turned it around. But when you're only center on the roster, I don't really consider Trendon a center, even though he's been playing center. He needs to come out better. And yeah, what do you know? Last 2 games, we've gotten blitzed at the beginning of the games. And the effort's been an issue again. It kind of sucks, but hopefully this was just a bad game or a bad start, and then he was fine the rest of the game.
Yeah. I mean, he's been playing better. I'm not too worried about it. He did have an absolute Jokic-esque pass to Norman Powell.
Mm-hmm.
I love that pass. That was maybe his most impressive pass of the season. Just caught it in the post, one-handed, like glanced for maybe half a second, and just flicked it across the court. And then Norm missed the 3. Anyway, moving on. Ben McLemore, 9 points, 2 assists, 3 for 5 from the 3-point line. He only shoots 3s. He is what we thought Tony Snell was. An absolute sniper. 22 minutes was a minus 17, though.
Yeah, he wasn't good defensively in this game either, but still hitting his 3s. Still has value, still spaces the floor. Same stuff we always say, right? No turnovers, that's good.
Yeah. I think he's going to be somewhere else. If we're not really trying to win this year, I think he'll be somewhere else playing for a winning team that wants a shooter off the bench, wants a sniper. Trendon is amazing. We got what's the addition? We can't even tell what the additions are to this jail anymore. I don't think there was an addition to the jail. You just got the Trendon is amazing tag. 8 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 for 6 from the field. His floater is intriguing. He likes those floaters, man. Played 19 minutes, had 3 fouls. He also got blocked on a shot where he tried to force something in transition. He's still learning to pick his spots. His offensive game will come. I'm not too worried about that. I'm still impressed with his defense, and surprisingly so.
The thing I liked about him, even though he got blocked on that one, is we've seen him hesitate to kind of drive in, and tonight he had several where he just drove right in and shot confidently. So you're going to get blocked sometimes, but it's not always the right decision. But when you have a little bit of issue with maybe being hesitant to drive in and score, the fact that he was doing so tonight, and it led to a couple easier baskets too, just drove and got lands or cutting and getting a nice feed or something. I thought that was good offensively. I didn't think he was great defensively in this game, but a lot of that was because it was more the back end of the guard rotation. But we have a tough job. Like, Luka's so tough, and then Jalen Brunson when he was cooking. Those guys are just so tough to know whether you should come out on, because if you do and you're not completely pressuring them, in Luka's case, you could be pressuring him and he could still pass around you. Those guys are just so skilled to get the ball around you that I don't know what to do there. So I don't know if it's completely on Trendon, but they did go on some pretty big runs when he was the center, and they got a lot of easy baskets, but I don't think it was all his fault necessarily, but not as great defensively as he had been.
Yep. Let's move on. The Twitter space is now live, by the way. I put it in the stream chat. We talked a lot about CJ Ellerbee at the start of the show as well. You had a breakdown for him. Mm-hmm. Anything else that you wanted to say about him?
No, I like that he's coming in and playing hard. I like using him as a passer. I felt like there was times when we got up and pushed the ball up the court that it benefits not only CJ Ellerbee, but a lot of other players too. And so I'd like to see a little more of that as well. I felt like we kind of got away from that in the second half, played a lot of half-court offense, and that didn't lead to as good of shots. So, I thought he provided some really nice minutes tonight.
Yeah, good to see. Just has to keep knocking down 3-point shots, and that'll open up some of his drives. He's not going to blow by anybody or get by anybody with the handle that he has. So he just needs to be able to knock down threes. That drive that you showed in the breakdown, the defense ran out on him hard, and he was able to get a layup because of it. So he's currently shooting. Going into this game, he was shooting 32.5% from three. So not horrible, but not great. Maybe good enough to get defenders to run out at him, though. Would like to see that definitely improve. He was 1 for 4 tonight, so 25%. That's just kind of the key for him offensively in order to, increase even his playmaking for others, being able to get to the rim. He just has to be respected as a three-point shooter. That'll open up a lot of things for him. Alrighty, last card, Eric.
Do we have to?
We don't have to do anything because he just ran around. That's all he did. Anyway, that wraps up the player cards.
Thank you. I don't want to talk about Snell.
I don't want to talk about Snell either. I don't even remember him playing. He played 26 minutes tonight, and I don't remember any of them.
That was the thing with me with Norm at the beginning of the game. It was like first 4 minutes, and then Norm got fouled on he got a rebound and drove down and got a foul, and like, wait, Norm was starting tonight? If I didn't know that going into the game, I would have been like, what?
Yeah, Snell played 29 minutes, actually. 1 for 3 from the field. Minus 10. 2 points. Yeah, that was a Snell-esque
stat line. One shot, I guess.
Good for him. Yeah. Anyway, Twitter Space is now live. I posted it in the chat. I'll post it again in case for some reason you can't find it, even though it's literally right there. So hop in our Twitter Space, request to talk. And we're going to make this quick, probably 20-minute segment. Hopefully we fixed our technical difficulties. We tested a space earlier today, and we're it should be good to go. We should be fine. So, yeah, ask a question, state an opinion, whatever you want. We'll try and make this go pretty quick for about 20 minutes for the space. We got Mikey, then we got Shervin, Eric. Shervin.
Sure. Romp was first, though.
Was he? I don't even see a request to speak for Romp.
Romp was first.
Yeah. Was he? Okay. Oh, there's good old random Twitter noise. Let me try and get that to stop. I need to like turn off autoplay or whatever. I don't know. Or just go to my timeline, I think.
Hello?
Yeah, hello? What's up? What's up, Romp?
What's up? How you doing?
How you guys doing?
I'm good. I'm just making sure. I keep having these like random videos play, which is not good. I need to figure out how to not have that happen.
Yeah, it happens.
I can still hear you though. I turned off the. I don't know. Anyway, we're good to go. What's up, man? Good to talk to you.
Hey, 2 weeks until Romp is absolutely beside himself after Morey decides to keep Simmons past the trade deadline.
I already accepted it, man. He basically went on a radio show and said he's keeping Simmons. So
yeah,
it is what it is.
How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the Harden rumors?
I don't like James Harden on the Sixers. I feel like he's too old, but I mean, if we get him, it is what it is. Harden with Embiid should be, fun to watch, but I would rather Tyrese Halliburton.
Oh, I mean, Eric loves you for that take because he's a Tyrese Halliburton stan.
Eric, I would like to know why you think that, because I'm gonna make a video on my Sixers channel about why I would rather that deal than a Harden deal.
Mm-hmm. Well, one younger. I just think you have Maxey already. You don't really need a ball dominant guard, but Halliburton kind of play either. So I like him both with the ball and as a spot up shooter. So I think he would be a nice compliment. And while Halliburton hasn't played great defense on the Kings, I wonder how much of that is the Kings and how much of that is Halliburton. So like in a good defensive system, maybe he'd play a little better. If I was talking about a young backcourt, it's hard to find one I'd be more excited about than Maxey and Halliburton, because Halliburton can really shoot, Maxey can penetrate and score inside, and both can do a little bit of the opposite things that kind of cover each other's weaknesses and complement their strengths. So yeah, I just really like that.
Exactly. Okay, CJ McCollum now. I was thinking, I feel like the Knicks would be definitely interested in him. I don't know if he's been rumored to the Knicks, and I feel like you guys could use some of their guys. Like, I think Alec Burks would be nice alongside Damon and Simons. Also, maybe a shooter like Evan Fournier, and then Mitchell Robinson maybe. I don't know. Have the Knicks been rumored with CJ McCollum?
The Knicks haven't been rumored, but we've speculated that would be a destination that makes sense for them. They kind of need a lead guard, and Kemba hasn't been that.
They've been rumored in previous off seasons, not this year though.
Yeah, not lately. But as far as like CJ trades go, for CJ trade, we need to find a way to have a chance at getting a better player than him. So that either means we get a better player for him in a trade for him, or we get assets that we could flip down the line for somebody a little bit better than him, or maybe a similar caliber player that's in the front court that is a good defensive player, right? That's basically what we're looking for in a CJ trade. So like Alec Burks has been really good for New York, but like he's not a better version of CJ. Mitchell Robinson, I wouldn't put at CJ level. Evan Fournier, I don't like his contract, if I'm being honest, and he's not CJ level. So, like, those are solid pieces, but in terms of, like, what Portland should be looking for, in my opinion, like, those pieces wouldn't help them put a better player next to Dame now or in the future. So that's why I'd kind of not be interested in that. I would honestly rather just have picks and then hopefully, maybe get picks for Norm, a pick for Rocco, and then try and package those picks for an upgrade. Maybe Jaylen Brown becomes available in the offseason and we have a bunch of picks that we can try and flip for him.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown actually might become available, because I listened to a Celtics Postgame after, You know, they're the rivals to the Sixers, so I kind of enjoy their pain and agony. And they're hilarious. And everyone's kind of turning on either they turn on Jason Tatum or they turn on Jaylen Brown. It's like either or. So I feel like if they keep losing in the offseason, like it won't happen at the deadline like Morey thinks, but I feel like in the offseason, if it keeps going downhill, the Celtics will probably move on from one of them. Even though I don't think it's on either of them. They should probably just build a more cohesive roster around them.
Yeah, Brad Stevens is just a wild card running the ship there.
Yeah. All right, that's all I got for you guys.
All right, man.
Have a good night, Rob.
Have a good night.
Yep.
Good to talk to you. Good luck with your Sixers.
Yep, good luck at the trade deadline.
Oh, I accidentally removed him from speakers. Appreciate you, Rob. We're going to need all the luck that we can get. Sorry for removing you from speakers like 2 seconds early. Who is next?
I think it was Mikey.
All right, Mikey. What's going on, Mikey? I'm adding you as a speaker as we speak. I'm looking forward to what you got for us today.
Fellas.
What's up?
Tori sounding a lot better tonight.
Good.
Sounds like you got over that Twitter cold that you had last night.
I did.
Eric?
Yeah, I'm feeling much better.
Eric, wonderful to hear your voice again. So
Yeah, sorry I couldn't respond last night.
that's okay. That's okay. I'm double the joy tonight to speak to you. Okay. So I have a question for you guys, and then I have one of the left fielders out of left field. So
Perfect.
question is, it feels like all we've been doing is really running into walls. Like for ever since the Gary Trent trade. I know we traded for Larry Nance, but that wasn't massive. Also, what's up, Madden Mobile 415 in the chat? Sorry, I just wanted to do that.
Eric, mute your mic for a sec, maybe. You Eric's going through it, man. But yeah, he's doing his best. He's soldiering through. You can hear Eric now. It's just gonna be a bunch of coughing, unfortunately.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So basically, the question is: let's say we get into the start of next season, and all we've done is run into walls. We haven't made any significant changes to the team, other than maybe moving Robert Covington or Larry Nance or something like that. How is the trade market going to be better? Is it going to be worse next season? Do you guys? What would you do if you were a GM and you were put in that situation, Trailblazers, going into next season?
I'll let Eric answer that, assuming he can hopefully soldier through. Eric, you good?
Yeah, I think, well, if you're not talking about Rocco or Nance, and then I assume we throw Nurkic in there because he's a free agent as well.
Yep.
So,
yep.
We're basically talking about Norm and CJ. And to me, once again, it's painfully clear that we need to turn